Good afternoon to you. It is 3:34, and we are here live on the Joel Natale Show from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here. It's another William T. Spaeder moment, another great full house, and I'm just going to say hello and have shout-outs to Tim Devine, Labor and Productivity Manager. Hey, Tim.
Hello.
James Spaeder, Project Manager.
Yes.
Tom Kaspic, VP of Business Development. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Joel.
Good to see you. Scott Clark, estimator. Hey, Scott.
Joel.
And Dan Giesman, sheet metal fab shop foreman. Hi, Dan.
Hello.
All righty. We are talking William T. Spaeder, and, Erie's continue to see many large legacy companies either downsize or streamline or shutter. This is part of the sad part of our story here in Erie, manufacturing. BASF, Malleable Iron, and most notably International Paper, among many others. But in the midst of this, one company has gone the other direction and doubled down on future growth and expansion, seeing opportunities where others might seem defeat. And in the past years, the William T. Spaeder Company has launched new services such as water treatment, electrical contracting, generators, and now they've just launched sheet metal fabrication. Okay, so Tim, let's get started here.
Okay.
Another trade, another line of service. Why does Spaeder jump into the pool there?
Well, it's not just fabrication, but it's also install. So it is another service, because we're a service provider, to our customers to really take care of them in a way that I don't think any other contractor in the area can. So basically, before, we used to partner with sheet metal contractors. They were subs to us on projects, and with us now self-performing all that work, we have more control and more of a opportunity to provide a higher quality install for our customers.
All right, dumb it down to me a little bit here, guys, because are we talking mostly in the realm of HVAC, or are there other uses for sheet metal that you guys would be working on here?
Air movement.
Air movement, yeah.
Yeah. Anytime you comfort, heat, exhaust. We did some dust collectors out at a Mill Creek school over the summer. Really anything that metal is hooked to and moves air or debris, we can do it.
I mean, are we even talking to like major restaurant level,
Everything.
or commercial kitchens and stuff like that?
From a house to a high-rise building.
Wow. All right. So let's talk about what's included in the setup of sheet metal. Go ahead, Dan. Who's got that one? Dan. Oh yes. How are you? Good to see you, Dan. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's involved in getting something started on a job?
So some of the equipment we have is a coil line. It can hold 4 coils at a time of different gauge metals.
Okay, so you're talking about the raw stuff.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
And that machine alone can make square duct by itself. From start to finish, you can make...
I'm sorry. I'm reacting here. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, from start to finish, one piece of square duct, 5 foot long, probably under 10 minutes. You can do.
It's almost like just a big, gigantic gutter machine or
yeah,
something, right? Wow.
Yep, the plasma table. You run sheets of metal right from the coil line, put it right to the plasma table, and the software that runs on, you'll punch in a bunch of fittings, and it will lay it out on your piece of metal as tight as it can, so you're minimizing waste.
Mm-hmm. James, weigh in on this, because I feel like there's by having this high technology, you're really able to keep the jobs shorter and more efficient. Am I onto something there?
Yeah. So we, one of our good partners actually decided not to come to Erie, who we used to partner with for the sheet metal. So they decided they don't want to come up to Erie as much anymore. So that's what made us get it into it. And then we're able to control it from start to finish, right? We're not depending on any other person or company to give the product that we expect to deliver to a client.
let's throw it over to Tom because Tom, I want to ask you about like felt demand. Like, I mean, by jumping into this, was the market already ready to go from your clients?
Yes, and it was a market that we're very familiar with. We've done this, and we've used subcontractors all along. And you kind of hinted onto it a little bit at the beginning about when we came to make the choice of what equipment to use and everything. And one of the biggest things that it gave us over our competition, which is in an end result rewards our customers, is it gave us a competitive advantage. Whenever we can do things more efficiently, quicker, and cheaper, then those costs are passed on through our bids, through our quotes, and to the end to the customer. So we can do that. And going on real quick about, were we aware of what we were doing? Like I said, this was something that we had done with subcontractors for years.
Yep.
This was an entity which kind of fit into what we were doing already.
Scott, I want you to weigh in on the workforce part of this because I feel like, again, you're a union sheet metal worker, right?
Yep.
And so, this is a defined skill, and I'm interested in this is probably an amazing job for somebody that has that bent.
Yep. I started 30 years ago.
Did you really?
Yeah, 30 years ago, right out of high school, I started and did it for 30 years, and I just came to Spaeder recently and to help them expand into the sheet metal market.
Yeah. Talk about safety again. I'm sure you guys are all very, very concerned about shape. I mean, this is you're dealing with plasma. You're dealing with very sharp metal. Talk about some of the safety issues. Who wants to weigh in on that? Yeah.
Yeah. So it comes down to resources, and the company, William T. Spaeder, the amount of resources that are employees, they're at their fingertips, always monitoring the air quality, and really that's what HVAC is air coming in and out of the building, but really monitoring the air quality and training our employees on the equipment that they're using, and to make sure that their health and their safety is taken care of.
There's no doubt about it. Back to you, Tom. Was there any doubt that this might not be the right move for Spaeder? This really did fit in the grand scheme of things, didn't it?
It fit. It's a $1 million investment over the first year.
Holy moly!
So was there doubt? There's always a little bit of doubt when you're seeing that many zeros behind a dollar sign. But when you look at sheet metal, when you looked at water treatment, when you look at electrical, we talked about the businesses going away and how we grew it. Mm-hmm. These are all additions that we made that were already parts of what we've done for years, except we use subcontractors. So we knew the market. So these decisions to go in were well thought out, somewhat lower risk because we knew the market and we knew our reputation and we knew where we fit in. And we already had a knowledge of recruitment. Some of it sitting at this table of where to even go and find the best people, people who we worked with in the past or knew of in the industry. So being a company that's 110 plus years old now, we look at things very cautiously, but I also think we never wanted to reinvent ourselves. We're still doing what we've always done. But companies have to adapt and look for a better way or a more diverse way of doing things, not only to benefit the bottom line, but to also look at the future of the company for generations to come. Some of them even sitting here at this table are in the fourth generation of ownership. So I think it's that looking forward to not always just doing what you do, but how can we reinvest to make the company more secure for future years?
James, I want to go to you. The key off of what Tom said, this kind of, quote, risk-taking or, a product expansion, that kind of fits, though, with the grand theme of the Spaeder organization over those decades, right? I mean...
Yep. I'm going to give you a quick story, okay, on the depth of our company, okay? So we ran into a situation that we needed to make a decision to either get into sheet metal or not, okay? And we made the jump in. We were always thinking about it, like Tom said. We've been doing it forever. We've always been thinking about it, but we had to really make a decision. We jumped in, and we told the CEO the risks, the rewards of doing it. Tim did a lot of that talking, and he said, go for it. We did it. We got out of the situation we needed to, and then we started talking about the strategic plan of it. And here's the best part. Our CEO did not have to get bogged down in developing this new strategic plan that we were doing for sheet metal. We have a huge depth of team members that put the strategic plan together, showed it to our CEO, our CFO, and we were able to report to them while they were still steering the ship for the overall company.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of those things that when you have the gravitas of a multi-generational 100-plus-year-old company,
Stable company.
it's stable company, right? People aren't going to just
Stability is the big thing.
And reputation.
yeah.
Stability and reputation. And, we partnered with, well, we're not partnered, we're signatory with Local 12, who is the union sheet metal contractor from Erie all the way down to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So that's a huge resource, being able to have that labor pool, wherever the job may be, where we may need them. And Local 12 let's be honest, they've been wanting Spaeder to sign with them for years.
Wow.
And at the time they were very helpful, very accommodating. They made it very easy, and they did as much as they possibly could to help us on this journey. Really.
Scott, weigh in on this again. I'm kind of setting you up as the union guy, but I mean, is this the new way of union management relations, of just working together so that we could have these sustainable jobs, families are supported, economies are moved forward?
Yep. It's definitely a good career to get into. You can make a good living, and it's really interesting work. One day you're out in a job on a roof, next day you might be in a basement, next day you might be in the shop fabbing ductwork. It's
and
always interesting, and you're always learning.
And I'm thinking, like, your pipe guys, your plumbers. Again, it all fits together, and when you have the reputation, it all goes together.
I got to add something here.
Yeah.
You get to help build the city. When you are a union member in these trades, you get to help build the city. And Tim, every time we're driving down 12th Street, I did that building, that building, that building, that building, all the way down. So you really get to, the building that we're sitting in right now.
Or the company did.
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah. I'm thinking that those are your sprinklers.
Yes.
Tim built the place for the company.
Let's bring Dan back in here, because I'm interested in. Dan, you're on the younger side of the equation here a little bit, anyway. How do we get the young kids interested in trades? Again, this is a very specific skill set of being a sheet metal fabricator, or a master plumber, or any of the number of electrician, the number of trades that are represented by William T. Spaeder. Go ahead. Do you see that the needle's moving for kids, more kids to kind of be knocking on the doors here?
That's a good question. For me, I didn't want to go to college, really.
Yeah.
I didn't want a student loan, and I had to take a couple jobs I didn't end up liking, and then my dad got me into the union.
Yeah.
And from there, if you like working with your hands and...
Did you have an apprenticeship at the union?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's that thread, isn't it?
Yep.
There's
Go see your local hall, and
yeah.
if you're interested, yep.
Weigh in on that, because those pre-apprenticeships, Tom, they're hugely important to get kids into apprenticeships, right?
Absolutely. And then when you're going through the apprenticeship, like Dan had alluded to, you're not accruing debt, you're actually making a paycheck. But I think one of the things I want to add on to that is how much the industry has changed. It's still an industry where you still need to use your hands, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And Dan alluded to that, and I've seen Dan just pull out a manual set of tin snips and trim up a piece to make it right, in addition to everything else, okay? But the first time that I met Dan at our company, I had a small project for one of our customers, and it was loaded on a flash drive, and I took it back and he uploaded it onto the computer and made all the adjustments, which then everything is automated going to most of the pieces of equipment out there. And it's not just that, it's going to the way that we cut our pipe to everything from our VDC department, where we virtually design every building, and then every one of our technicians in the field holds an iPad, and every single one of them. And so it's gone to where you not only need to still have the mechanical skills, but it's the knowledge in between your ears as well, that it gives a lot of people who thought before, maybe college isn't for me, but
right.
if you have the mechanical aptitude for these things and the ability to take the computer and use it, then you're so valuable in this industry now. In almost every trade that we do.
And I feel like the concept of Spaeder kind of leading the way as a benchmarking organization.
Absolutely.
For the city, for what you regret that the foundries are gone away, but we're still making things, we're still building things in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Absolutely.
And Spaeder's on the forefront of that.
Huge. The company pivoted huge when International Paper left and Hammer Mill left, Erie Malleable Iron, all the companies that you mentioned, the downsizing at GE, and really they went in a direction after the commercial market. But like Tom was saying, and Dan, about there's a lot of technology in construction now. There's a lot of innovation in fabrication. There isn't another contractor in hundreds of miles of Erie that invested in technology and their employees like William T. Spaeder has, without a doubt.
And again, it's one of those things where you're able to provide a template, you're benchmarking. You're saying to others, maybe up and coming smaller companies, to say, this is how you do it.
It is. And at Spaeder we have 6 core values that we firmly reinforce, and you may have heard some of these on the other shows and whatnot. But one of those core values, which I thought about when we were coming to do the segment, was best in business practices.
Yeah.
Without the best people in place, you can't be the best at what you do. And also, without making these change and these innovations, a lot of the equipment we install has electric hooked to it. When we took over electrical, it gave us the control over that, just like it did with sheet metal. Mm-hmm. And it was the same thing with water treatment when we went into that. So without that change, you could never maintain that level of best in business practices that we strive for, which not only secures our place in the community and our company, but it also provides the best product in the end for our customers.
So one last question with our friends with William T. Spaeder, and I'm sure my listeners are shouting at the radio this. Is there enough demand to keep all you guys busy, and even doing multiple shifts?
Yeah, I mean,
okay, yeah, it's a right?
Absolutely.
More than enough.
Yes.
Yeah. We have a dedicated team
Yeah.
that focuses on just bringing in the work, and we call it feeding the beast.
Yeah.
And they do a good job.
And don't get me wrong, as the company grows, our footprint grows. So we expand to Buffalo, Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. We have a presence in not just in Erie. We're taking over.
But we love the idea that you're based in Erie, paying the taxes,
Yes.
Coaching the baseball teams, the whole shooting match, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a huge part of this whole thing.
And another thing, as far as keeping busy goes, we've also noticed something in the industry, and this is something that even if you look into the automotive industry, when people aren't buying new cars because the economy doesn't allow it, they're fixing the ones that they have. So when we're not busy with a lot of new construction where you don't see incentive money put out, and when we're building, and we were booming over the last years with that, now it'll come to the place where now they got to maintain it. And that's where we're fairly equally divided between the new construction and the operation side of what we do and our service industry. And from service, like we said, we're servicing everything from the homeowner all the way up to the largest businesses that we have in town.
We got to leave it there. Again, another amazing William T. Spaeder moment. Let's go down this list again. New services include water treatment, electrical contracting, generators, and now sheet metal fabrication. And of course, these are the guys that will do your commercial plumbing and all the big mechanicals. I mean, it's you're everywhere. It's pretty amazing. Thank you so much, Tim Devine, James Spaeder, also Tom Kaspic, Scott Clark, Dan Giesemann. Appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joel.
Thank you.
All righty, more ahead here. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show on a Wednesday. All righty, we're going to be talking. We're going to go from manufacturing and big commercial stuff to social media. So we're going to make quite a pivot here, but that's what we do here on the Joel Natale Show. As we have Chris Norris coming up here in after the news with our conversation about TikTok. You know, I mean, so that's pretty wild. So glad that you're with us here, and tell a friend about these crucial conversations